Tragedi penembakan di sekolah menewaskan sedikitnya 7 orang di Nonthaburi, Thailand pada Jumat. Pelakunya diduga seorang siswa laki-laki berusia 14 tahun yang kemudian mengakhiri hidupnya. Masih dari Thailand, sebuah mobil menabrak pusat penitipan anak di Kanchanaburi dan melukai 15 anak-anak yang tengah tidur siang.
Sedikitnya 7 orang tewas dalam penembakan di sebuah sekolah di Nonthaburi, Thailand pada Jumat. Pelaku penembakan diduga merupakan seorang siswa laki-laki berusia 14 tahun yang kemudian mengakhiri hidupnya. Otoritas menyebut sebelum menyerang sekolah, remaja itu diduga membunuh kakek dan neneknya di rumah. Keduanya diduga menjadi korban awal dalam rangkaian penembakan ini. Senjata pistol kaliber 9 mm yang digunakan pelaku juga diduga milik kakeknya. Setibanya di sekolah di Nonthaburi, pelaku melepaskan tembakan ke arah guru dan siswa. 15 orang terluka dan 2 diantaranya dalam kondisi kritis. Rekaman dari lokasi memperlihatkan para siswa berlindung di dalam kelas saat suara tembakan terdengar. Petugas kemudian menemukan pelaku dalam kondisi terluka parah sebelum dinyatakan meninggal dunia. Perdana Menteri Thailand menyebut insiden ini mengerikan. Ia mengatakan pelaku masih memiliki sekitar 30 butir peluru saat memutuskan mengakhiri hidupnya sehingga korban bisa saja bertambah. Masih dari Thailand, sedikitnya 15 anak terluka setelah sebuah mobil menabrak pusat penitipan anak di Kanchanaburi pada Jumat. Kecelakaan terjadi di tengah hari saat anak-anak tengah tidur siang. Mobil berwarna hitam tiba-tiba menerobos dan menabrak bagian dalam gedung. Puing-puing berserakan di lantai, termasuk selimut dan perlengkapan anak-anak yang sebelumnya digunakan untuk tidur. Sejumlah anak kemudian dievakuasi dan dibawa ke rumah sakit terdekat. Seluruh korban dilaporkan mengalami luka ringan dan sebelum dibawa ke rumah sakit, mereka mendapat pertolongan pertama. Polisi menyebut mobil itu ditumpangi 2 orang. Penyelidikan awal menduga pengemudi berusia 54 tahun mengalami gangguan jantung dan diduga kehilangan kesadaran sebelum mobil menyimpang dan menabrak pusat penitipan anak tersebut.
Penembakan massal terjadi di sebuah sekolah di Thailand, di mana pihak berwenang menyatakan seorang remaja 14 tahun membunuh kakek dan neneknya lalu melepaskan tembakan di sekolahnya. Menewaskan 5 guru, melukai setidaknya 30 orang sebelum akhirnya menembak dirinya sendiri. Reporter CNN Ivan Wetsen melaporkan langsung dari Bangkok, Thailand.
These are the gates of the Nonthaburi High School. It's a large compound where some 3,000 boys and girls study and where authorities say a 14-year-old student on Friday morning unleashed carnage in here, opening fire on teachers and students. The authorities say that the student then used the weapon on himself. The Prime Minister of Thailand, who came here in the hours after the rampage, he says that the violence could have in fact been even worse because the boy was found, the suspect was found with 30 rounds of unused ammunition. Now, the police, when they went to the suspect's home, they made a grisly discovery that the boy's grandparents had been shot and killed apparently hours before the violence was unleashed here on the campus. They have seized computers and electronic devices that suggest that the 14-year-old, the suspect, was researching other mass murder incidents and that he'd actually had access to the weapon used here. It was a registered firearm, registered to his grandfather. There was an Instagram photo where the boy appeared to have access to that very weapon. Now, we have spoken with the father of the suspect, who was understandably in quite a bit of shock because in one extremely deadly morning, both his parents and his son are now dead. He described his son as being guilty, also said he'd never exhibited violent behavior and that he had liked to play with pet birds, but the son had not been living with his parents. They were separated, and thus he'd been living with his grandparents. The Prime Minister says that the boy had been under a fair amount of stress and that his grandmother was a teacher who was pushing for academic excellence. There are questions about mental health as well as gun safety in the aftermath of this massacre. Families, students, of course, traumatized, and this hits very close to home because CNN's own producer Carla Cripps, her 17-year-old son goes to school here. He was fortunately at an athletic event, but he described his favorite teacher being a victim of this violence. The Prime Minister says there will be compensation paid to the families of victims as well as to those who've been injured. There is some precedent to this violence. 4 years ago, a police officer attacked a daycare center in the northeast of the country with guns and a knife, killing at least 36 people, most of them children.